President Biden speaks to the nation, telling Americans why it's vital Israel and Ukraine win their wars. And CVS announces it's pulling popular brands of cold medicine from store shelves. The Morning Rundown starts now.
From the Straight Arrow News Studio, bringing the stories that matter to you from across the United States and around the world. This is the Morning Rundown.
Today is Friday, October 20th. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kara Rucker. In a rare primetime address from the Oval Office Thursday night, President Joe Biden spoke to the American people about the importance of the United States supporting Israel and Ukraine in their respective wars, saying it's vital for America's national security for each ally to succeed. The president compared Hamas and Russian President Vladimir Putin as different threats, but saying both are after the same goal, to end democracy in neighboring countries, saying if they win, it could embolden other aggressors around the world to act.
You know, history has taught us that when terrorists don't pay a price for their terror, when dictators don't pay a price for their aggression, they cause more chaos and death and more destruction. They keep going, and the cost and the threats to America and the world keep rising.
Biden's speech came after a visit to Israel, where the president met with leaders about the country's counterattack in Gaza and its looming ground operation. The president also spoke with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky before his address. Biden restated to Zelensky the United States' continued support of Ukraine defending its democracy. Biden is expected to ask Congress for a $100 billion funding package, reportedly to include $60 billion for Ukraine and $14 billion for Israel, with the remainder going toward Taiwan, humanitarian aid, and border management. The president calling the funding a smart investment for America's security. Just hours before the president's address, the State Department issued a worldwide caution advisory for all Americans overseas, saying there is a potential for terrorist attacks or violent actions against U.S. citizens. Travis King, the U.S. soldier who fled into North Korea in July before being returned to America last month, is being charged with desertion, according to military documents obtained by multiple news outlets. The 8 counts also include charges of possessing child pornography and multiple assaults. King already served 2 months in a South Korean jail on assault charges and was scheduled to return to the U.S. to face additional disciplinary action when he crossed the border into North Korea. King became the first American detained in North Korea in almost 5 years. After 2 months, North Korea announced it was expelling King, and he was flown to a military hospital in Texas for medical evaluations. The Army private's mother, Claudine Gates, released a statement following these latest charges, sharing her concern for his mental health and saying, "As his mother, I ask that my son be afforded the presumption of innocence." Lawyer Sidney Powell, accused alongside former President Donald Trump and 17 others of trying to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election in Georgia, has taken a plea deal. As part of the deal, Powell is pleading guilty to 6 misdemeanor charges and will serve 6 years of probation and be fined $6,000. Powell has also agreed to testify against her co-defendants in future trials, and she will have to write an apology letter to the residents of Georgia. Powell's plea deal came a day before jury selection was set to begin after she filed a demand for a speedy trial. Powell is the second defendant in this case to reach a deal with prosecutors. Bail bondsman Scott Graham pleaded guilty to 5 misdemeanor charges last month. Starbucks and the union representing its organized employees have each sued each other over social media posts about the Israel-Hamas war. The coffee chain filed a lawsuit against the union Starbucks Workers United, claiming a pro-Palestinian social media post from the union's account shortly after the war began damaged the company's reputation and resulted in complaints from more than 1,000 customers. Starbucks is demanding the union no longer use its name or its logo that Starbucks says resembles the company. In a statement to USA Today, Starbucks executive vice president said the social media post reflected the union's, quote, support for violence perpetrated by Hamas. In its own lawsuit, Starbucks Workers United said the company has defamed the union by implying that it supports terrorism and violence. Advisors with the Food and Drug Administration said the leading decongestant used in many over-the-counter cold medicines is ineffective, leading CVS to pull some medicines off its shelves. The pharmacy chain says it will no longer be selling medication with phenylephrine as the only active ingredient. The decongestant is found in products like Benadryl, Sudafed, Advil, and Tylenol. According to the FDA, medicines with phenylephrine account for approximately $1.8 million in annual sales. CVS says the decision to remove the medicines was voluntary, and it will continue to sell other cold and cough products. It is not known at this time if other pharmacy chains like Walgreens and Rite Aid will follow CVS's decision. Finally this morning, as the Hollywood actors strike nears its 100th day, another issue is being raised by the Screen Actors Guild, Halloween. The union, which represents the roughly 65,000 actors on strike since July, is warning its members to not dress up as characters from movies or TV shows produced by the studios they are striking against, saying this will send a clear message that actors won't promote studio content without a fair contract. Instead, SAG-AFTRA is recommending members dress in traditional Halloween costumes like ghosts, skeletons, and zombies, or trick-or-treat as someone from an animated series. The union says if striking actors do end up dressing up as characters based on content from the major studios, it just asks that they do not post any photos on social media. These are your top stories for this Friday. Now you can get the morning rundown in your inbox each weekday morning by subscribing to our newsletter. Visit our website, san.com, and go to the Rundowns podcast page to sign up. Unbiased, straight facts, that's Straight Arrow News. We'll see you back here on Monday. Until then, I'm Kara Rucker. Have a great weekend.